Hello. I just got in trouble at school for not citing a source. so here's the source I'm citing today. We're going to play some ukulele that is available on jollyrogerukulele.com. So go over there. I got the page set up for you. You can grab your sheet music and you can grab your well, you can do all kinds of stuff over there. So just make sure you're doing it. Let me post our link over there while we're waiting for everybody to load in here. Link to join, highlight, delete, control V, shift, highlight, bold, link, enter, edit, settings, open a new window, update, and update. Whoops. Stay on page. Update. Hit the wrong one. The buttons are right next to each other. One button it freaks it out. All right, so I think we're good on the page. Let me make sure it's linking properly. Today's Thursday. Slide down to a Thursday. And there's the link, and I click on that, and it goes to to me, which is exciting. And then over here, the other thing we gotta do, always gotta post on Twitter. We don't know why. It just became a thing. One day somebody says, "I know, let's do Twitter," and we're like, "Okay, we're all in." JollyRogerUkulele.com. Hardly anybody does Twitter, but they act like everybody does. Ukulele. When it was new, it was kind of a fun place to be, kind of a community-oriented type place. And you could only tweet 140 characters. Then they doubled it, and the whole place went to heck. So, yeah, it's not. Twitter's just not the place it was in my day. All right, there. We're posted on Twitter. Close that out. Let's see. What are we doing today? Let's see. Linda's in. Hey, Linda. Good to see you. Oh, and Michelle in from rainy Rockaway Beach, Oregon. Fall hit in a major way here in Denver, so I'm guessing you're probably dealing with the same thing, Michelle. And probably the last day of the sun is now behind you for 9 months, something like that. My relatives live in Eugene, Oregon, and so they always put a brave face on, but I'm always amazed at how many months in a row they won't have any sunshine. Sandy's in from northern Michigan. Sound is good. Brighton 72 up here. Good. Robin is in from British Columbia. Good to see you, Robin. Linda, chilly and rainy. She's in from Vancouver officially. 57 degrees. Last night the rain was coming in sideways. Oh no. So things are back to normal in the Northwest. They had a hot summer. Too many fires, a lot of smoke, but the rains have returned and it's normal, right? Nancy's sitting down there in Florida, sunny 87. Shut up, Nancy. Whatever. Just enjoy your sunny day and be quiet about it. Stop rubbing it in. Hey, Vic, she's in. Oh, it's sunny in Eugene. Okay, so I made an assumption. Hey, today we're going to be talking about. Today we're talking about strumming in the key of C. This is sort of the homeland of most ukulele players. And then we're also going to just play some Irish music, and we'll start that just as soon as we're done with Waltzing Matilda. And then we got Beethoven Ode to Joy and a new piece, Bartok, Lonely Traveler. It's not new to me, but it is new to you, and a little bit of an arrangement that those of you guys that are have ukulele groups, you might try. It's kind of fun. Robin said, just let Linda give the weather. Yes, since what do you live, 50 miles east of her or something like that? We're assuming you're close to the same thing. It's an assumption we shouldn't make. I'm still drinking my morning coffee. I got some kind of negative news at the doctor the other day, so they wanted me to go get a blood test, which they did this morning. But you have to fast, so I didn't get to drink coffee this morning. I didn't get to eat. I put in my backpack, I put my yogurt and a plastic spoon. By the time I got to school, I had lost the spoon, so I just didn't get to eat this morning. Of course, I didn't get my morning coffee in. So, of course, I sent in my coffee order, which I thought was pretty basic order, over to the schools, the Starbucks there in the school. and it was the worst cup of coffee I've ever had. So tomorrow I'm going to go have a chat with them and see if I can't get them to remake that for me. It was horrible. It was so. This is. I finally got home and I'm like, I'm gonna make a cup of coffee. I've had a rough morning. Plus, they had the main road along where I live here is called 8th Street, and it crosses Lincoln Street, which is a major street, then Broadway, a major street, and then Spear, major street, and then the hospital where I got my blood test is right on the other side of that. They got the whole thing all blocked off for repaving, so you couldn't get there from here. Basically, you can see it from here, you just can't get there. So, been quite a morning. After all of that, I got my one of my things back from school. I'm going to tell you what I learned here right before class. It was a submission where we had to, write some sheet music out on Finale and then put it onto a Word document and post the Word document to show that we knew how to do move JPEGs around and stuff. And in the final last instruction, it says, put some text in here. It doesn't matter. And then paste your JPEG in underneath there. And I could have written blah, 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 blah. It didn't matter what the text was. But I thought, I'll be cute. I'll find a poem that kind of matches the mood of the piece of music that we're in here. And so, I always go to Petrarch, who's our love poet from the... let's see, I think he was 14th century. And I just grabbed Petrarch #1, copied, pasted, stuck it in there, and sent in my thing. Well, I didn't cite him. I didn't say, hey, this is Petrarch #1. So I lost 2 points. I lost 2 points for not citing my sources. Shoot. So, all right. So, grab your ukulele, book 1. Songs in the key of C. I don't even remember what I call that in my book here. Hold on. What do I call that? Key of C strummers. HIJKL. How come I don't have it here? Key of C strummers. Now you can tell I don't spend a ton of time working on this because from day one of my ukulele career, I was told the key of C strumming activity is the most important thing that you can do. It's not even close, but it's the most important thing that most people do. So today it's not going to matter whether you're on baritone or ukulele. Just grab whichever one is your favorite, and then let's go through and talk about what we would do if we are going to go to a ukulele strum along. I'm going to start on baritone just because I want to talk about the things that are unique to baritone, and then I want to switch over to ukulele, and then we're going to play Waltzing Matilda today, which means you get to listen to me sing, which is always a mixed. It's never a mixed blessing. It is a curse, but I say it's a mixed blessing. Let's see. Carol made it in. Cold and cloudy up in the high country. I'll give you 1,000 points. You all. I always, right? I always, on every single piece of sheet music I do, I try to tell you the source, what year it was. I really do pride myself in being careful about that. But this was just put in some text. I could have put in anything. I could have put in my phone number, and it would have been fine. But then I didn't. I was like, it's an old poem. I'll just stick it in there. It'll be funny. And I didn't cite the source, so she took 2 points off. I'm doing okay. In the class so far, the entire class has been about Finale music software, which is my thing, and so I'm doing okay in the class. I can eat those 2 points, but I did learn a lesson, right? On baritone, guys, you're gonna play a C chord. Looks like a ukulele F chord. Okay. Ukulele, you're playing along with me, right? So you can hear the difference. Okay, this is a baritone C chord. Your C chord's a little bit brighter. Here's an A minor chord. You do your F chord, just add your ring finger. Okay, beautiful, right? And now baritones, you got a kind of a bummer. When we're playing in the key of C, you have an F chord. It's really kind of a bummer. In ukulele, it's a B flat, which is our nightmare chord as beginning ukulele players. You get the F chord right off the bat. So what I tell people is it's best if you use a full bar. Take your E shape, which looks like an A shape on ukulele, but use your middle and ring. And then just slide it forward and put a bar here. And it's best if you use a full bar. It's best. Okay. However, if you want to use a half bar, just these two, and then middle and ring, you'll see me do that all of the time because that's how I learned back in the day. But it is better to use a full bar because you're going to be using all of the bar chords all over the neck, and you might as well just get used to on this instrument just putting a full bar on. It is, I can think of nothing off the top of my head where you're ever going to not want to do a full bar. And it is a tiny bit harder probably, but the rewards down the road are going to be much greater in that you can do this bar, this bar, this bar, this bar, this bar, this bar, this bar. All of those bars you can do without ever moving this. If you do a half bar on your F chord, that's the only shape you can do that on. All the others will require you to readjust your bar, and it just will slow you down. So just maybe from the very beginning, treat your bar as a full bar. Accept the fact, now you can hear from me once in a while here, right? You get some of that. Right? I'm not even trying. It's just happening, right? So you're going to have to squeeze a little bit harder. When you first start, you got to squeeze like heck. As you get better, and as you get stronger, and as your whole system gets better, you can actually do it without your thumb. Okay. Your thumb. No thumb, right? Okay, I am cheating a tiny bit because I'm scrunching down on this baritone and creating this pretty intense amount of pressure that way. But you can play these without a thumb is the bottom line. You don't need to in the beginning. In the beginning, you just want to squish real hard. Okay, so there's your F chord, and then baritone's your G chords here. Okay, so now let's switch over to ukulele. If you were to buy a ukulele, or you don't even need to buy one. You go to Hawaii, you're in the thing, and there's things to do in the hotel today, and then you're in one of those resorts, right? They'll say, down in the lobby, we're going to have a ukulele class at noon. Come and join us! Exclamation point. And then the real purpose of that is to get you over into the gift shop to sell you a ukulele, which is fine, right? That's good. They have better ukuleles in the gift shop than you probably have in your music store in your neighborhood, right? They also have some really crappy ones in the gift shop as well. But you come home from Hawaii with a ukulele and a snoot full of information, and this is the information they'll give you. So I'm going to go move over to my regular one. So guys, C chord. Okay? This is your home base. This is something that you have to memorize right this moment. Okay, ring finger, 3rd fret. Yay! That's the thing that makes us happy. Is a C chord on ukulele. Now, baritone players, you know that you're going to be playing with ukulele players in your life. Okay. And so you need to get good at the key of C, which is going to involve that stupid F chord. So just accept the fact that's going to happen. Okay, on ukulele, this instrument's tuned to C, and so our shapes are much easier. Okay, next chord is going to be an A minor. Okay, that's middle finger, top string, 2nd fret. And then and don't get weird. Just don't pick this up. Just add your index finger, 1st fret, 2nd string to get your F chord. Get used to that chord. We're going to make it a few times. Okay. Now here's the important moment, I think Michelle's here. Michelle is here. Michelle and I had a conversation, and she is with 30%, I'd say about 30% of the students make their G chords upside down. And I have to have you make it the right side up from the beginning so you get the habit in correctly, because down the road you're not going to get away with making an upside down G, and it's really hard to fix it if you don't do it right from the beginning. Index finger, 3rd string, 1, 2, 3, 2nd fret. Okay, there's no other choice on this one. It's not really a rule, but it's you could play it you theoretically can play it the other way if you want to have your life be horrible down the road. And then middle finger, 1st string, 2nd fret. Okay, just that so far, and then reach your ring finger out, 2nd string up, 3rd fret. Okay, That's what you're after there. Okay, so it's index finger on top, middle finger on the bottom, ring finger out in front. There are other ways to finger this chord, and they're all wrong. Okay, so just make sure you're doing it this way from the beginning. If you're doing any other fingering, it's going to get in the way down the road. And and I do know when you're holding your ukulele properly, there is another way to hold the G chord that actually feels more comfortable in the beginning. But it will end up messing you up for other chord progressions as we go into there. So if you do this right from the beginning, it'll just make it easier down the road. Okay, so there's your G chord. So let's run through this program here. It doesn't matter which instrument's on. C, A minor, F, G. Let's just go through it a few times. Okay, so nice and slow at first. 1, 2. Let's do 4 beats of each chord. 1, 2, 3, 4. C, 2, 3, 4. A minor. 1, 2, 3. F. 1, 2, 3, hard one here, and G, 2, 3, go to C. Bum, 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 ba-da-da, A minor, dum, ba-dum, go to F, bum, bum, jump to G, 2, 3, back to C, A minor, go to F, to G. Okay, I'm going to mess you up now. So we've been doing 4 finger plucks, right? Thumb, index, middle, ring. Okay, now I want you to do index, middle, ring, middle. Index, middle, ring, middle. Index, middle, ring, middle. Index, middle, ring. Okay, put your C chord on. 1, 2, we'll do just 1 set of each. Okay, get ready for your first set. Here we go. C, 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 A minor, to F, to G, to C, to A minor, to F, to G, and then finish up on C. Okay, now, same exact thing, but instead of index, middle, ring, middle, let's do thumb, index, and middle. Thumb, index, middle, index, thumb, index, middle, index, thumb, index, middle, index, thumb, index, middle, index. Put your C chord on. Okay, let's do 2 sets of each of these on each chord. Okay, so coming around, and thumb, index, middle, stay on C, thumb, index. Now go to A minor. Thumb, index, middle, index, thumb, index. Now go to F. Thumb, index, middle, index, thumb, index, and then to G. And then finish a big C chord here. I don't remember. I think I did 2 of each of those on each chord. This is not going away. This is something that's going to be a part of your home base as a ukulele player. When you go to virtually anything outside of the world of Jolly Roger, you're going to run into C, A minor, F, and G. And when you go to your local strum along, hopefully you've got a strum along group in your town. If you don't, you need to get one started, and it's on you, right? Because you're the most proficient ukulele player in your city, probably. You go down there, they will give you out song sheets, and they'll have just chords and lyrics on them. And in most cases, the majority of the songs are going to be in the key of C, because that's what most of us know how to play when we go to a strum along like that. Our local one here, they've been around a long time. They do all sorts of crazy stuff that are, relatively advanced at chording, but still the bulk of what they do is going to be in C, A minor, F, and G, not the bulk of it. And it's a super fun, super important way to be able to play, and something I spend almost no time talking about this way of playing, because I know you're going to end up doing it anyway, so I don't need to spend a ton of time on it. We're going to spend today on it, and then we're going to move on. Okay, not that it's not important. It is important. It's very important to be able to play this way, and so that's why we're talking about it. And tomorrow we'll play this whole sheet theoretically, depending on how much time we have. So let's dig into Waltzing Matilda. Couple of survival tactics. You figured out how much harder it is to put on G than any of the other ones. So as you're reading along, when you get your chord on, let's look at verse 1. Once a jolly swagman. When you hit C, and already I'm thinking about changing to G, right? So don't fall asleep on the chord you're on. Once you get a C on, you're done. Look ahead and see what the next chord is coming and when you need to have it on. Stop strumming your C in enough time to get your G chord on. Okay, you don't have to strum every single beat. If I do, once a jolly swagman camped beside a billabong under the shade of a coolibah tree. You only have to strum once. Okay, if you can strum more than that, it's going to sound better and keep a better rhythm for you. But in the beginning, when you're learning this, one strum per chord is plenty. Okay, ultimately, you want to be able to strum every beat. Now, so in other words, don't fall asleep on the chord you're on. Look ahead and see what's coming up. Okay, now next thing is how do you strum? I always teach you guys 1, 2, 3, 4. I teach you not to strum because everybody at the strum along is going to be going, right? Once a jolly swagman camped beside a billabong, and they'll do every single song exactly the same way. That's a super fun way to do one song. What are you going to do on all the other songs, right? And so I want you to have as smart of right hand as possible. Those of you guys that have been around a while, this is your moment, right? Some of you are grabbing pluck, 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 pluck. Some of you are arpeggiating. Once a jolly swagman camped beside a billabong under the shade of a coolibah tree. So all of those things are right hand. Your left hand is going to just hold those chords. There's nothing particularly sophisticated about it. But you, as more experienced players, are going to be thinking, I can thumb strum, I can index strum, I could chunk it. Once a jolly swagman camped beside a billabong. Right, so you could do that. You could do a 3-finger pattern on, which is in 4 beats. Once a jolly swagman camped beside a billabong. That's a 3-finger pattern with 4 beats. So it's thumb, index, middle, index. I can do a 4-finger pattern and just use every single string. It sounds a little wonky on ukulele. It sounds great on baritone. Once a jolly swagman camped beside a billabong under the shade of a coolibah tree. Okay, and if you blow a chord, you didn't blow the chord. It's that the universe said, that chord's not important right now. You just skip on up to the next chord. You're going to blow chords. I blow chords 100% of the time I play. I just move on up to the next chord. Don't lose sleep over it. The universe did not want you to play that chord at that particular moment. Just let it go. Move on up to the next chord and get ready and you want to be ready on the first beat of the chord whenever it shows up. Andre, you made it in. Welcome. It's really late. Hello to you. Guten, let's see, it's not Guten Tag, it's not Guten Morgen, it's Guten Tag, right? I can't remember what good evening is. Glad you're here, Andre. Thanks for being here. All right, 13 degrees Celsius, windy and cold. Oh, the autumn has set in up in Germany. I was in Berlin one time in March. That's the coldest I've ever been. Oh my gosh, so cold. All right, let's do this, okay? By the way, I'm going to sing. That's never a good thing, right? And so don't take my singing as a good example. It's just so we know where we are in the song. Here we go. At first thing you thought I was playing Tom Waits Waltzing, right? Waltzing Matilda. I don't know how Tom Waits this goes. We're going to do it. Is the only way I know how to do this because I'm a terrible singer. From the top, I'm going to do the intro. You get ready with your C chord. Come in when it's time. When it's your time. I went for the wrong A minor. I've been playing too much baritone. Let me start again. 1, 2, here we go. Once a jolly swagman camped beside a billabong under the shade of a coolibah tree, and he sang as he sat, and he waited till his belly boiled. You'll come a waltzing Matilda with me, waltzing Matilda, waltzing Matilda, you'll come a waltzing Matilda with me. And he sang as he sat, and he waited till his belly boiled. You'll come a waltzing Matilda with me. Now I've done the entire thing with just an index strum, down or up, mostly downs, every now and then a little bit of an up. Okay, now switch. Whatever you were doing before, I want you to switch. Okay, switch to a different right hand pattern. 1, 2, ready, play. Down came a jumbuck to drink beside the billabong. Up jumped the swagman and grabbed him with glee, and he sang as he stowed that jumbuck in his tucker bag. You'll come a waltzing Matilda with me, waltzing Matilda, waltzing Matilda, you'll come a waltzing Matilda with me. And he sang as he stowed that jumbuck in his tucker bag. You'll come a waltzing Matilda with me. Okay, got through 2 verses, probably finding the G chord the hardest one to put on, hopefully managing to get the C chords in, the F chords in, most of the A minors in. Only A minor doesn't show up very often. But again, if you miss a chord, you miss a chord. Just move on to the next one. Don't lose sleep over it. Don't spend all your time getting the G chord on and let the rest of the song go to heck, right? Play the parts that you can, and then you're going to work on the other parts. All right, pick another right hand pattern. Okay, I'm going to do thumb, index, middle, index. 1, 2, 3, 4. Up came the whoops, let me start on the right chord. 1 and 2, 3, 4. Up came the squatter, mounted on his thoroughbred. Down came the troopers, 1, 2, 3, saying, where's that jolly jumbuck you've got inside your tucker bag? Waltzing Matilda with me, waltzing Matilda, waltzing Matilda, you'll come a waltzing Matilda with me, saying, where's that jolly jumbuck you've got inside your tucker bag? You'll come a waltzing Matilda with me. Now, I will tell you, when I go to strum-alongs, that's usually what I do, is I usually do arpeggios. And inevitably, whoever's sitting next to me goes, boy, your ukulele sounds really nice. They think that somehow I've got some magic in my ukulele, or I must have a very expensive ukulele. You can take a $50 ukulele to the ukulele strum-along, and if you'll play arpeggios, the person next to you will be like, huh, that sounds really nice. Because they're generally, when you are at the strum along, they're just used to up, down, up, down, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, down, up, down, up, doing that type of stuff. That's again, not being critical, that's an important way to play the ukulele, but you can bring something different to the equation by just doing your arpeggio patterns. And nothing, and you can make those arpeggio patterns as fancy as you want, and all of a sudden you are like, people think you're something, right? And you are something. That's what's exciting. We're going to very quickly run through verse 4 and the big finish. When we get to the big finish, of course, you play a little louder. Pick any of the patterns that you want to wrap us up. And then when we get to the end of the big finish, it says tremulo. Let me teach you how to do tremulo, because most people do it wrong. Okay? So just take your 4 fingers, kind of just lightly touch your strings so no sound's coming out. You're going to take index finger and your index finger and your whole hand, and you're going to do this. Okay, so you're going to use the whole hand as sort of a counterbalance for the work you're going to be doing with your pinky. Okay, so keep your hand open, keep your index finger in, and you're going to go down, up, down, up. Don't go from your elbow. It's too slow, too awkward. You're going to twist from your wrist. Okay. Okay. And then the last chord is a C. So let's practice. Ready? Tremolo. Okay. Now at our local strum along, whoever tremolos the longest wins. Okay. Okay. Don't do that your first time. Let somebody else win. Okay. If you ever teach this to a teenage boy, you teach him the Eddie Van Halen finish, which is up, 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 hands way up, and then bring it down like that. So when I come down, I'm hitting all 4 strings with all 4 fingers, right? So that's the Eddie Van Halen finish. The reason you want to teach it to all preteen and early teen boys is they're going to be like whack, and they're going to hit their knuckles on the side of the neck here, and it's going to hurt like heck, and they're going to learn an important lesson in life is that there are limits and consequences, and it appears to be the current generation is struggling with that idea. So let's play verse 4 any way you want. Just make sure you play the big finish loud and give me a tremolo at the end. 1, 2, 3, 4. Up jumped the swagman, he sprang into the billabong. You'll never catch me alive. Splash, and his ghost may be heard as you pass along that billabong. You'll come a waltzing Matilda with me. Waltzing Matilda, waltzing Matilda. You'll come a waltzing Matilda with me. And his ghost may be heard as you pass along that billabong. You'll come a waltzing Matilda with me. Big finish. Waltzing Matilda, waltzing Matilda. You'll come a waltzing Matilda with me. And his ghost may be heard as you pass along that billabong. You'll come a waltzing Matilda with me. Eddie Van Halen finished. And that's it. All right, on tomorrow, Friday, let me make sure I'm telling you the truth. On Friday, that's the end of the week, right? We're going to review for Jacques, so make sure you played through that one time. We're going to play 1 or 2 songs out of the A book, which is A, F sharp minor, D, and E7. We're going to do the Make It Better bar. We're going to go through that real quick. We're going to play your C scale. Okay, we're going to play that, and then we're going to play the other songs out of this. So if you need practice with just doing the songs, you can come back to this recording on YouTube and just play through Waltzing Matilda. If you play through that about 200 times, you'll be done with studying A, C, A minor, F, and G. You'll get it. But on Friday, we'll probably do Drunken Sailor almost for sure, and then we will almost for sure do Kookaburra. Notice that instead of a G chord, you're using a G7. This Little Light of Mine is a great little tune to practice your C, F, and G chords in there. That has a G7 in it. You Are My Sunshine, Danny Boy, all of those songs are probably ones that you've run into at some point. You may not have run into Kookaburra unless you were a Girl Scout. So just you can go check it out online and you'll find 800 million copies of it out there. But the big thing that we want to stay focused in on here is just working at getting you comfortable with switching chords. In the beginning, it's a big job that we have to get you comfy with. The way we study making music here at good old Jolly Roger is we spend a lot more time plucking than strumming, but that doesn't mean that the need to switch chords goes away. And so when we're talking about that as an issue, the easiest and most pleasant way to learn that is by just using some of these goofy strum-alongs that you will run into in the ukulele world. And in the ukulele world, there's just a crazy amount of obsession almost with chords and strumming. And you will notice that the people who love to do that most are also the people who love to sing. And so if you are not super stoked about singing, then that way of playing is not necessarily your first choice, right? And and you've heard me sing at this point, so you know, thank God that's not my preferred method of playing the ukulele. I want the ukulele to do the singing for me because I have heard my singing and it's ghastly. All right, there's that. Let's move on to some Celtic music. Guys, what do you want to play? We decided Danny Boy and something else. So grab Danny Boy first and remind me what the other song is that you guys were thinking about knocking out today. We'll do Danny Boy first. And guys, remember there's a copy of Danny Boy on that strum sheet, but that's not the one you want. You want to go get the real Danny Boy. That's guitar. That's not going to ever work. Book 2 ukulele. Don't have Danny Boy in here yet. Let me go grab it. All right. So Danny Boy is one of these songs that barely fits on a ukulele. And so Danny Boy baritone and Danny Boy ukulele. So it's all over the keyboard on your ukuleles, which isn't not necessarily a bad thing for those of you guys who are here to learn the more challenging ways to play. And so, yeah. Oops, now I've got it doubled up here. What the heck is going on? Get rid of this. Remove, baritone. Oh, I see what I did. Remove. All right, so Danny Boy ukulele. All right, a couple of things on this. Let me make sure I'm looking at the same one you guys are looking at. Now, over the years, I worked like heck to get Danny Boy to fit on to the ukulele, and I am basically done messing with it. It's pretty close to what it's going to be forever. And I gave you guys the February 24th edition. Okay, so a couple of thoughts. If you are on Tough Uke in measure 2, that tie on there, I'd probably not worry about the tie. I'd probably play the 2, and I'd play the 3, and then I'd move on with my life. Same thing happens down there at measure 6. I wouldn't spend a whole lot of time sweating that tie. Same thing in measures 10 and 14. The tie is still there. My thought was to teach you a technique where we hold one down and then move the rest of your hand and play those 2. But you don't really, it doesn't show up on the ukulele like you think it would. All right, this Danny Boy is in the key of F. Right? And so one of the things you're thinking about as a musician is why do we put some songs in some keys and some in the others? On a piano, so each key kind of has a little bit of a different flavor, and so composers will put them into a specific key on the piano. But for the rest of us, we're just trying to put it on the instrument in a way that makes the most sense and is probably we're going to be the most successful playing. This song, you'll notice way over in measure 13, you actually have to play a 12. Right? And if you have to play a 12, you're like, oh my gosh, that means that there's probably a super low note in here. And sure enough, measure 2, you have this 2. Okay? So that's why we're in this key, is because that's the stretch you're going to have to make in order to get this thing to fit on the instrument. So I've used almost every single note on a high G ukulele in order to make this happen. There is one, if I put it down 1, you end up in a goofy key, and then it's really hard to play. So you'd rather have an occasional 12 and be in the key of F than replace the 12 with a 10 and then be an E flat, which means all your other chords are really weird. Weird ukulele, weird. Okay, whiskey in the jar. Thank you, Vic. Vic gets paid handsomely for being my assistant, by the way. All right, let's play Danny Boy. First, for those of you who are singers, you're in 4, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Get your F chord out. Start with your F chord, okay, and we'll do 1 pluck for every 8th note. It's a 1 beat counting, so I'm going to count 1, then we'll sing, and then we'll start doing 8 beats, 8 plucks per measure. Grab your F chord, ready, 1. Oh, let me get my first note here. Oh, there it is. 1, ready, 1. Oh. You can tell I'm already doomed from the beginning. 1. Oh, Danny boy, the pipes are calling from glen to glen and down the mountainside. The summer's gone and all the roses falling. It's you, must go and I must bide. But come ye back when summer's in the meadow, and when the valley's hushed and white with snow. Oh, I'll be here in sunshine or in shadow. Oh, Danny boy, I love you so. Okay, now at this ukulele strum along, you go, oh, Danny boy, the pipes are calling from glen to glen and down the mountainside. So, that's how you play it at a strum along, right? That's not what the song's supposed to be like, but it's still fun to play it that way. And so I like a little arpeggio pattern under there. I think it always sounds good when you're singing and you have an arpeggio pattern. It can mess you up if you're a bad singer like I am. Sometimes your voice tends to follow the arpeggio pattern, and you end up not singing the right notes. So we won't do the melody. You guys can do the melody on your own. You know how to do that. Let's play the tuck uke. 2 times through, all the way to the bottom. Remember, we got triplets in major 16 to pick you up to come back to the top a little faster. From the top, ready, 1. Stop here in just a sec to talk about this. And you have already studied this moment, right? You slide up your index finger, 2nd string, 8, 9, and 10. Okay, a little stair step. Okay, just like your B flat, 8, 9, and 10. But then your pinky's going to end up on 12. Okay, this is a critical moment in the song. So the entire way through, you're thinking, I got to have this one moment memorized. Okay, so when you come in, that's what you're looking for. So have it ready where you can go 3, 3, 3, index 9, 10, and then you can start your down strum while your pinky's getting on. Okay, then you come back to the 10s. Go to the F chord. Here while we talk about, okay, take one last look at 13. We're coming back there in just a moment. Ready, to the top, and a little bit quicker intro. Ready, play. Okay, so probably almost everybody in the world knows that song, right? So that's a song that has a whole lot of history, and everybody who's ever sang a note probably has sang that song at some point, and you get kind of a little bit of a feedback on it, like, oh, I don't like Danny Boy. Don't listen to him. Okay, that's a good song. It barely fits on your instrument. That's how good it is. All right, let's do the real quick on a baritone version of it. Grab the baritone sheet music, if you will, and let's see if we can't create a nice duet here. Paid musical education, which is priceless. I know, right? That's funny, Vic. Okay, baritone version, basically the same thing. I got a few other little things I'm going to add in here as we go along. I got a few just personal notes here, but notice Danny Boy on the baritones in the key of C. Right? We just learned that in book 1. Okay? All right, let's see if we can do this. Okay, just 2 times through on the baritone. Ukulele players, you got it. This is your moment to shine. You got C chord, F chord, G7 chord, and you're in 4/4. So make it sound beautiful. Make it sound beautiful. Baritone players, don't mess it up. Here we go. One beat counting. Ready? 1. Whoops. I fell asleep. Second inning. right? That's why you went into playing ukulele. That's why you thought, hey man, that's something I want to be able to do. And look at, there's only a handful of you in the entire planet that are working this hard to play that song. And good for you, right? When somebody meets you and they're like, oh, I hear you play ukulele. When I tell people at school, oh, I'm playing ukulele, I know what's in their head, right? Not that, and that's it's kind of disappointing in some ways. All right, the Whiskey in the Jar. Let's go grab that. We got just enough time to knock it out. Grab the baritone version first, and then we'll play the ukulele version. Whiskey in the Jar. Do I have it in my gadget already? Maybe. Whiskey in the Jar. Baritone first, please. Obviously, supposed to do it 6 times. We'll do it. Let's do it twice for each instrument. I'm not going to talk about it all, other than to say on baritone ukulele players, A, F sharp, D, and E7. I'll bet anything. E, regular E. Just use an E7. Just use your regular. Instead of E7, wherever it says E, just play an E7. You'll be fine. Let's see. Rita made it in. Hey, Rita. Sunny. How is Illinois winning over the rest of us? What the heck, man? Nancy and Rita are winning. Okay. Whiskey in the Jar. As I was going over the far-famed Kerry Mountains, I met with Captain Farrell and his money he was counting. I first produced me pistol and then produced me rapier. Said, stand and deliver, for you're the bold deceiver. Musha ray damado damada. Whack for me, daddy-o. Whack for me, daddy-o. There's whiskey in the jar. Now, that song makes no sense, but that's what it is, okay? Okay. The only reason people like this song is because it ends with, there's whiskey in the jar. All right, let's play it. And again, this is a song you would probably sing for sure, right? As I was going over the far-famed Kerry Mountains. So that's probably how you would really play something like this. We're going to play the tough uke, though. Guys on ukulele, make it sound pretty. Baritone players, nice and steady. 1, 2, 3, 4. I should have told you second ending, by the way, or sixth ending, I guess I should have said. But here's the cool part. The entire song, you never ever once see a C-sharp minor, and then it shows up in the ending, and you can see why, right? Over and over, there's whiskey in the jar. Oh, blah, blah, blah. There's whiskey in the jar. blah, right? And so you're going over and over. You need something to tell people that, all right, we're finally on the last verse. And then you're going to slow it down. Notice you're in eighth notes coming in every single time into measure 12. Whiskey in the jar, whiskey in the jar, whiskey in the jar. Sixth time through, there's whiskey in the jar. That's what, so you slow it down a lot, right? And so as you're playing this at home, come in and you get that cool C sharp minor in there, which ukulele players, your bar, that's your A minor up here on 4. That's your C sharp minor. Your B minor, of course, is down here on 2. You come in and there's whiskey. Isn't that cool? Whiskey in the jar. Right. So that's so just don't underestimate the cheese factor that you can add into that measure 13 when you're doing it on your own, and it'll be really fun. Let's do it on ukulele real quick. And then remember tomorrow, guys, I'm going to shut my mouth up, which is not one of my strengths, and we're just going to play. So come in, be ready with anything off the Celtic list you want to knock out, and we have, how many Celtic songs? 11 Celtic songs, of which 0 of them are bad. I mean, they're really, that's a miracle that's just sitting out there for people to have. It's really good stuff, and so come in, spend tonight playing all 11 of those, right? Get where you're feeling pretty good about them, and then come in tomorrow and ready to play whatever we work on. Come in with an idea, right? And we'll work on the first. We'll just work on whatever, right? I don't care. They're all good. All right, ukulele players. By the way, baritone, these are not terrible chords for you. D chord, B minor, G chord, and then what's your 7th chord? A7. Right, so these are actually pretty good baritone chords. What you'd want to do is, if you get some people around, have somebody else play a guitar or a baritone, right? Because they're fine with these chord shapes, and then you play the melody or you play the tough uke, and you'd really have something. You'd have a darn tootin' good time. I would also, even though we do everything with tough uke, there are times when that's not appropriate, right? It's not appropriate to play Drunken Sailor, the way we do. It's a pirate song, right? Same with Whiskey in the Jar. As I was going over the far-famed Kerry Mountain, I met with Captain Pearl and his men. So find somebody who can sing big and bold and not scared and not terrible like I sing. Oh, Jacqueline's back down in North Padre Island. She has yet to invite me to her condo down there. I don't know what the heck I got to do to get an invite to Padre Island. Lynn is in, brand new strings. Can't stay in more than 5 minutes. Good, Lynn. You got 3 minutes before we're ready to start the new stuff anyway. So play Whiskey in the Jar with me. Lynn, you're on chords because you're not in tune. From the top, 2 times through. 1, 2, 3, 4. Time through the top. such a silly little tune. Yes. So, oh, by the way, and then it's a little bit of a joke, but if you've got new strings on, you're for sure on chords, right? Because you're going to be out of tune. so whenever you get strings, you walk into the group, and you say, "Hey guys, I got new strings. I'm gonna play chords today, okay?" And they'll be like, "Oh, thank goodness." Okay, they're not in tune under the best of circumstances, let alone with new strings. How often do you? Okay, pop quiz. As you are pulling up your Bartok, by the way, welcome book 3, people. We're going to make short work of today. You got to go home and study. Pull up your Bartok. Pull up the ukulele version of Bartok first, and pop quiz. How often do you change your strings, and what do you change your strings to? Okay, so if you know the answer, type it into chat bar. There are correct answers and incorrect answers to this. How often should you change your strings, and what should you change your strings to? Give me that answer over there in the chat bar. We don't do that, and I don't ever do that. Now that I'm in school, I'm used to the pedagogical approach where we ask questions that none of us know the answers to, and we all sit around awkwardly waiting for him to let us off the hook. We're going to work on Bartok today. Oh, I didn't actually update this sheet. Oh, wait, I know. I got to hit reload on my thing. You know how I always say, hit reload, hit reload. If you don't hit reload, you get last week's website. All right, here we go. Ukulele solo version is what we're going to look at first, so you can get to learn the song. Nobody's answering my question. Come on, people. How often do you change your strings, and what do you change them to? Be brave. You know the answer. Okay, Bartok ukulele and Bartok baritone. Fluorocarbon every 4 to 6 months. Sandy is correct. Sandy gets a gold star. So fluorocarbon is the. I've tried all the other strings and I've listened to all of the hype and all of the marketing from all these things. Fluorocarbon is basically fluorocarbon. There's so little difference between one and the other that you need. You don't need to worry overly about brand. I put Savara's strings on every ukulele I restring because I know they're good, solid in quality, and I think that you just get the biggest bang for your buck out of those. A lot of times on my personal ukuleles, I just put fishing line, fluorocarbon fishing line, because there's not that much difference between that and the name brand stuff, and it is about a third of the price. But don't do that yourself. You care about making the best music you can, so put Savara's strings on there, and you just type into Amazon. Ukulele, Savara's, and there's 2 types that come up, either the concert size length or the tenor size length. Other than that, they're just longer. I think there might be a small difference in the dimensions of them, but basically either one works on either instrument just fine. And Linda's right. Change them when it's staying in tune, and you don't ever have to tune it up. Your strings have gotten all the stretch out of them. And they are probably dead. And you will be surprised how much better your ukulele sounds. Those of you guys who play every day, I would say 6 months is the maximum. Those of you guys who are playing once or twice a week, you might get away with about a year on them, but they do decay over time, and so don't let them go too long. You're working too hard at this to not sound good all of the time. All right. Bartok. Bela Bartok is known as a minimalist composer, and he did a bunch of stuff for kids too. And as you know, I like to have you guys do a little of this and a little of that so that you can try everything. What's interesting about Bartok is while it's for kids on a piano, it is not for kids on the ukulele. It is for grown-ups. And this is a fun little tune. And so I want to play through the tough uke real quick, and then I want to talk about I put on the website a 3-part score. So for those of you who know people who own ukuleles, you got an activity ahead. Okay, so let's walk through this pretty slowly. Notice your chords are chords you've seen before. There's nothing crazy about them. Typical Bartok. There's going to be really a very approachable melody on it. The chords will probably be approachable, but there's always just enough weirdness in classical music where you're like, oh, what the heck do I do here? And Rita will talk about those in just a second, okay? let's walk through this, just the ukulele version first, the ukulele solo version. So on your paper, you've got the sheet music and the tough uke, and then the chords, and that's it. And it's all on one page. So it should say, I'm looking at the baritone one. That's not going to be long term very healthy for us. Here's the ukulele one. Now, of note, guys, once in a while, I want you to know what you're playing, right? I want you to really look at this standard notation there. That's really, especially if you have a low G, that's really, honest to gosh, what you're going to be playing. Is all of that stuff is happening all at the same time, and doesn't that look impressive? That's really what you're going to be playing when you do the tablature. Most of the time with tablature, I don't drag it up onto the standard notation line because, frankly, I think it just confuses the whole issue. That's what the chord name is for up there. You don't need to have it all spelled out for you in the standard notation. But I do get regularly, people who've been college trained, they're like, oh, I have to have the standard notation. No, you don't. You don't. We didn't need it for 250 years of lute. You don't all of a sudden need it for ukulele. But that's really what you're playing there. Now, I always make a note, because it is important, that assumes low G. On my tablature, I always set it up for low G, because I don't have to then end up going through and cleaning up all of the double notes that happen because of, the top string and the bottom string are playing the same note. But if you're playing a high G ukulele, you see all of those very low notes, anything that's below middle C, you're just playing that up an octave, and it makes the sheet music even more complicated and weird to read. So, oh, hey, Diane. She's been here. She didn't mention she was here. So now we have to change our conversation entirely because Diane is here. So that's the real sheet music you're playing, and it always looks very, very impressive and cool, but it complicates things in some ways. In some ways it's better. Like, for example, you definitely know how long to hold stuff. The problem is if you look on the half notes that are busy floating along through there, oftentimes those half notes are on the same string as something else you need to play, so they don't really come out being half notes. It's just the idea of half note is there. The other nice part about standard notation that you don't get in tablature is you can kind of see how the music is flowing, right? So on the first measure, bum, 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 right? You can see that it's going to start a little bit high, then it's going to drop a little bit, and it's going to come up, and then it's going to drop down. And so that's the beauty of standard notation, is you can kind of see how the melody is going to flow, and you can see how the music is working. It doesn't do a bit with chords, because chords are going to be block, 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 block all the way through, and they're going to be inversions and different things. So it doesn't really help with that, but it does give you a sense of how the music's supposed to flow. So that's the best part about standard notation. And the fact that it's much better at telling us how long to hold notes than tablature is. Outside of that, there's no benefits to that system of music. Like I say, in lute, the first lute book was published around 1507, and it was tablature, and they kept that up clear into the 18th century when lute suddenly stopped being popular, and they're just like, nah, we're not playing that anymore. But they use tablature the entire time because it's a good system. It's a really good system. Now, let's go walk through this just a little bit. We got a couple of things we want to talk about. You got a 4 here right off the bat, right? So I would just play E minor, or A minor, and then a 4, open 2, and then grab your E minor, top 3 strings. Okay. Ba-da-ba-bum-bum-bum. And if you want to just play the melody, you can play just the top note of everything. And those of you guys who took piano lessons, you probably played some Bartok, and it's, again, much easier to play on piano than it is on ukulele. 0, 1, 3 at measure 2, E minor. Now that I have been finding tricky. The second chord in measure 2, you hit your E minor, then you got to slide back to get the 2, so you got to remember that. Okay, then measure 3 looks a whole lot like measure 1. Okay, so that's all you're doing there. Again, with classical music, we want to be very specific. We don't want to get it close like we do in folk music. We want to get bum 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 bum. Okay, so talk yourself into having a little bit higher level of technical things, and making sure you're playing it slow enough to pull it off. Right. That one of the things we do in folk music is we play everything too fast. Oh Danny boy, right? That's not how it's supposed to go at all. Lonely Traveler, you should play this as fast as you possibly can, as long as you're keeping your rhythm nice and steady and straight. Hey, Cat, 80 degrees and cloud. Oh, that sounds like a nice day down in Texas. You take that, won't you? Jan is here. Also, good to see you, Jan. Jan came to orchestra in person, you guys. So if you are in Denver and you're sitting around on a Monday night, you should come, right? It's fun. Well, it's not fun. It's important, but it's not fun. All right, measure 5. Okay, here's your next idea. Remember, eighth notes and then 2 quarter notes. Sorry. Bum, 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 bum. And then on to measure 6. Bum, 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 bum. Okay, so let's just play those 2 measures again. 5 and 6. Ready? Play. Bum, 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 bum. Okay, and then the idea is going to be kind of different going into 7 and 8. So grab your A minor. You're only playing 3 strings. Ready? Play. Bum 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 blum bum blum 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 blum. Oops, blum 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 bum bum. Okay, so let me play the melody for you from measure 5. Just play the top notes with me. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so they're again pretty basic melody, kind of pretty, nothing super fancy. But look at how many chords you're going to be moving around. You got a C chord next to a D chord. That's kind of weird. You got a G7 sneaking in there. You had only A minors and A7s. Well, you had A minors, E minors, and A7s up top. Now you got a much more complex chord structure. And then you get to measure 8, and you got a G sharp diminished hanging around in there. You're like, what? And again, what's happening when you see that G sharp diminished, that G sharp note really wants to become an A. That's really what's going on. I don't want to be like this anymore. That's what's going on. That's why there's a G sharp leading up into that A minor. Give you a whole bunch of tension to resolve. All right, so let's do the first 2 lines. How are we doing on time? First 2 lines. 1, 2, 3, 4. Fun? It's super fun. I love it. Can you do it with your thumb? I think that would be something I would try on every piece of music that Gary hands out. With classical music, I'd like you to do claw probably more. 1, it's good experience, but 2, doesn't it sound more classical? Blink, 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 blink. Right? That sounds more classical. But you can smooth it out, make it pretty. Let's try it with our thumb. Same thing, just the thumbs. 1, 2, 3, 4. works that way too. So if you're going to do the repeat, which you should always do the repeats, okay? I played piano. I took piano lessons for 10 years. I don't think we ever did a repeat, ever. I think my teacher's like, all right, let's just keep moving forward. But I think it's better practice, even at home on your own when you're hanging out and you're like, I just need to practice it a little bit before I go to bed. Do the repeats, really. I mean, I really think, especially with the way we work on this instrument, doing it one time with your thumb and the other time with your claw, that's going to pay off huge dividends down the road. So just talk yourself into doing repeats and playing it one way the first time and a different way the second time. If you ever set up a concert, you invite everybody over your house, you say, hey, I'm going to give you a classical concert on ukulele, and they're like, whoa, I got to see this. You might choose on this song which way it sounds best, but you won't have to do everything both ways. But I do think in practice, get where you're doing both. All right, let's go down to measure 9, a whole lot like the beginning. Okay, let's give it a try. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, 13. Let's go back to the top, switch to your thumb or switch to your claw, whichever one you weren't using before, top to bottom. 1, 2, ready, play. Whoops, sorry. Measure 3. Here, okay, you come around last time, 12, 7, A minor. Isn't that fun? That's a super cool ending. It's in the actual song too. Bing, bong, wham. By the way, it took me forever. I don't know where I found this originally, but it took me forever to figure out which song it was in his books. So I actually wrote it up in there. It's in his SZ. I don't even know what SZ stands for. 42, book number 2, number 7, and it's got a non-English title on it, which we call it The Lonely Traveler, but it's also, I see it translated as The Drifter Song or Song of the Rogue, which is my favorite translation. So I don't necessarily think that they're big fans of these travelers, right? Now, this isn't a classical piece you thought, oh, thank God I finally got some Bartok in my repertoire. You didn't think that. But you are working on some pretty cool stuff. This is early 20th century, and Bartok was very much a minimalist composer, trying to get the most out of the least. On a piano, pretty straightforward. On a ukulele, really, really complicated. So how do we make it less complicated on a ukulele? So that's what I gave you. Those of you guys who have friends, okay, well, the three of you who have friends, I gave you a conductor version, a ukulele 1, ukulele 2, and ukulele 3 arrangement of this. So here in class, we'll play the solo version. On tomorrow, we'll also play the baritone version. We're going to run out of time here by the time I'm done talking. So baritone players, please get ready to play the same thing on your instrument. And if you look at the baritone version, where's the baritone version? Is that this one? Baritone version. Your chords E minor, B minor, E7, G chord, A chord, D7. They're not terrible on ukulele. The one that's going to throw you is the D sharp dim, and at this level, book 3, I expect you guys to go look it up. What does a D sharp dim look like on your instrument? And just FYI, I'd have to go look it up too. Okay, I don't have all of the. I know I have the diminished shape memorized. I know it's somewhere along here. I'm just never can remember which measure or which fret it goes into. But everything else on this is a pretty good ukulele piece. Pretty good ukulele chord shape, and so make sure you know both by tomorrow so that you can play along both the ukulele version and the baritone version. And then let's talk very quickly about the ensemble. Now, a few of you guys have no other ukulele players, or you're working with a couple. I know Kat, for example, has a ukulele group she works with. This would be a fun thing to take into the group. What I gave you was the Lonely Traveler with 3 different parts, and we're going to do just a little bit of it. Okay, so let me pull it up on here so that you can see what this is going to sound like. I'm grabbing the conductor version, but if you are running you have 2 or 3 friends, somebody's going to play uke 1. That's where the melody is. Usually, if I am running a group, like if I have a library group that I used to run before the COVID, and I would take this out, I'd play uke 1, and their job would be I'd have half the class play uke 2 and the other half play uke 3, and it sounds super cool. However, if I have a student and I expect them to be working real hard, I have them play uke 1 and then I play either uke 2 or uke 3, and their job is, anytime you have a student, their job is to play the hard part, right? And your job is to accompany them. But what I want to do, I want you to grab, you don't need to print it out necessarily, just look at uke 2, we'll do the top part. Your job on uke 2 is to just do every other beat, right? Beat 1 is a 3, then a 2, then a 4, then a 2, then a 3, then a 2, then a 4, then a 2, then a 10, then a 9, then an 8, then a 7, then a 3, then a 0. And notice that 0 gets pulled clear through into measure 8. And if you are deciding, you know what, I'm going to do this with my group, you print out, nobody technically needs the conductor version unless you have a conductor. That's why I print them out, because I'm a conductor. But really, some people get a uke 1, some people get a uke 2, some people get a uke 3. And as you guys know, most of you guys are participating in orchestra. Uke 1 and uke 2 uke 2 and uke 3 don't sound like anything. They're just like blink, plonk, plonk, blink, plonk, plank, plunk. They don't sound like anything until you get together as a group. So what I want to do is I'm going to play uke 1, and your job is to play uke 2 or uke 3. I don't really care. Uke 2 is probably a tiny bit more interesting than uke 3. Pay really close attention to the rests, and then there's a couple of places where notes are tied over through measures. You want to make sure to treat those as one long note and just make sure you count it right. So let's see if it sounds kind of cool. So you have the easier part, and I'll play the little bit harder part. Okay, I'm gonna play the melody. You're gonna play the beak blanc. Here we go. Let's see. And that way nobody has to play tough uke, and it actually ends up sounding kind of cool. It sounds cooler, actually. From the top, I'm going to not go very fast, and you're going to play beats 1 and 3 for the most part. 1, 2, 3, 4. Measure 2. 4. Oops, my page didn't turn. Sorry, guys. From measure 13. 1, 2, 3, 4. My part on uke 1 is very boring. Oh, oh, oh. But your part on measure 2 is the cool part. Okay. And on uke 3, they're going to play. And if we run all 3 of those together, you basically get really, really full, beautiful sounding chords. If you look through and read it, your high note is 12. That's an A, right? Underneath that there's a 3 in uke 3, that's a C, and then there's also a C in uke 1. So you got C, the high note A, and then C C, that's an A minor, probably, and then on the next note you got a C, an E measure. Uke 2 is playing an E note, and uke 3 is also playing the same E note, so now it's C E E. And then the final one, uke 1 is playing an A, uke 2 is playing an A, uke 3 is playing an A, right? That's when you tell everybody, guys, we need a little more depth. Okay? You don't really think about it. Wouldn't that be a fun way? You can even make that just a staccato. And then your crowd will go wild. So that might be a fun thing for you if you happen to know other ukulele players. If you don't know other ukulele players, isn't it time to get started making a few, right? Go grab your next door neighbor, sit them down, and say, we got to do this. I need some help. Okay. That's Bartok. So quick rundown for tomorrow. We were going to squish in Beethoven's Ode to Joy today, and we didn't get it done. So I'm hoping to play Mozart both ways, Bartok both ways, and we'll try to squeeze in Ode to Joy tomorrow. If we don't get to it, we don't get to it. It's fine. We've done it before. And for those of you guys that have know somebody who else is playing ukulele, do try and go grab them, sit them down, try and play this little miniature arrangement. As you know, this is just basically exactly the same thing we do in orchestra, only it's a lot easier to do because it's not as long and it's not as complicated and all that. And for the most part, the chords make sense. So there's a little bit of a mini classical arrangement for you and your group. Tomorrow we'll be busy. Regular time tomorrow. Frere Jacques, strumming in the key of A, strumming in the key of C. A couple of songs from the Celtic list, Mozart, Bartok. I don't know anywhere else where you're going to get as good a ukulele as that. So see you guys tomorrow, and please let people know what you're doing. It's very exciting and very cool that you are playing ukulele like a real instrument. Okay, I'm going to sneak out of here. Thank you all for being here, and I will see y'all tomorrow, the regular time. And put on your calendar, next week will be Tuesday only. I've got some stuff I got to deal with on Thursday and Friday next week. So next week is Tuesday only. And I will see all of y'all tomorrow. Peace.